Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining me today. My name is Victoria Rahmanovic, and I am the branch manager at Transatlantic North America in Chicago, Illinois. Today, I'm going to be talking to you about how to familiarize yourself with the supply chain, understand terms of sale, and what to expect when importing or exporting to the USA. Before I begin, though, I wanted to take a moment to extend a big thank you to the International Trade Council for not only inviting us to speak today, but also allowing us to connect through the beauty that is this year's Think Global Conference. It's so important to remain connected, especially during these extremely challenging times. We are all fortunate enough that they have given us a platform to do so. So without further ado, let's jump in. Before we get into the nitty-gritty that is logistics, I would like to give you some insight into who we are. Transatlantic North America is a certified licensed and bonded expert in transportation and logistics. Our customs bonded facility is located in Wooddale, Illinois, just minutes west of Chicago O'Hare International Airport. Our trusted partners allow us to provide coverage in nearly all ports worldwide through our network association with the X2 Elite and G7N professional logistics networks. We have a highly skilled team with very specialized training, which gives us the upper hand in handling any standard break bulk or project cargo we may come across. With our customs brokerage partner, we offer door-to-door service for all inbound cargo from any airport or port in the USA. Our portfolio also includes full container load ocean freight, less than container load ocean freight, dangerous goods handling, crating, packaging, warehousing, and commissioning for our clientele and partners. We thrive on the positive relationships we have established with our clients, agents, and vendors, and believe in the growth of the common goal by providing top-notch customer service to all individuals we are lucky enough to work with.
So what are we talking about today? I found a foreign supplier. Now what? Learning the language. I'm going to teach you some terminology to allow you to better follow the process. We're also going to determine your current position in the supply chain. What do you need to do next? How do you know if you don't know where you are? What do I have to pay for? Then we're going to discuss Incoterms, what they are, why they matter, and what an important role they really play. In discussing those terms, we're going to discuss the difference between prepaid versus collect. Is giving up that decision-making power and having the convenience of ignorance really cheaper? We'll find out. Next, we're going to talk about liability, insurance, and the importance of packaging. I'm going to teach you how to avoid a problem before it even happens. And last, we're going to talk about customs. What's a broker? What kind of requirements surround it? And what are duties, taxes, and bonds? Stay tuned and we'll find out.
Learning the language. In order to be able to navigate the transportation process, you first have to become familiar with the terminology. Air freight, LCL ocean freight, FCL ocean freight. These are all modes of transport. Airway bill, ocean bill of lading. This is the legal transportation document which outlines the details of the shipment, including pricing and cargo and commodity details. Cargo manifest. This is also a document that aids the airway bill in showing a brief synopsis of the shipment details. The cargo manifest does not include pricing, in contrary to the airway bill. Automated manifest system, or AMS. The AMS system is a system utilized by the airline to communicate with Customs and Border Patrol in order to view holds and releases in real time. Importer Security Filing, or ISF. This is a pre-filing required on ocean freight cargo coming into the United States. It is required 48 to 72 hours prior to vessel departure in order to allow forecasts for the government to prepare for the standard entry of this cargo. U.S. Customs Release and Entry Summary, otherwise known as CBP Form 3461 and 7501. These two documents aid in outlining what commodities were brought into the country, as well as what duties and taxes were paid to the government for them. Harmonized Tariff Code, or HTS Code. This is a code that the government and Customs and Border Patrol utilizes to estimate the amount of taxes you owe for bringing that commodity into the country. That harmonized tariff code dictates that percentage of duty or tax. Merchandise processing fee, harbor maintenance fee. These two, in conjunction with duty, are outlined on the CBP Form 7501 and shown as proof to what taxes were paid upon which commodities when bringing them into the country and obtaining your customs release. Original release, express or telex release. This is more for shippers than receivers, but an original release requires original documentation to be presented at the final port of entry, whereas a telex release or express release allows for the cargo to be transferred without any hold. Original releases are usually utilized in situations where payment is pending on the commodity and needs to be collected prior to the cargo being delivered. Some agencies you might see involved in the importation process are the United States Customs and Border Patrol, or CBP, United States Department of Agriculture, or USDA, Food and Drug Administration, FDA, Environmental Protection Agency, EPA, Fish and Wildlife, Terminal Handling Fee, Standard Customs Clearance, Chassis split or triaxle, detention or demurrage, waiting time, and storage. Determining your position in the supply chain. Before we can know where to go, we have to know where we are. Here are some quick milestones to help yourself determine where you are in the supply chain. I'm looking for a foreign vendor and sourcing the product I need. If that's the case, take your time. These choices are big ones. We're still a couple of steps away before we get to start planning out your supply chain. I found a vendor, but I haven't placed an order yet. Well, we're almost there. Place that order and then we can start climbing up that supply chain, making a plan. Okay, I placed my order and my vendor has advised me it's nearing completion. Congratulations! Let's start working on planning your supply chain. Contact your freight forwarder and we can start talking about modes of transport, deadlines, and pricing. My shipment is available for pickup at my vendor. Let your freight forwarder know. Then we can get it booked and we can get it moving for you based on your deadlines and regulations. My shipment's been picked up and it's in transit to the US. We're almost there. Your freight forwarder and customs broker are working away to make sure all transport and customs regulations are in order. My shipment has already arrived at the USA, but I need to get it to my facility. Well, sometimes surprise shipments happen. When they do, call your freight forwarder. They will make sure to hunt down the location of your shipment as well as be able to properly assess and correct your situation efficiently. Incoterms. What are they and why do they matter? All right, we've become familiar with some terminology. We've found out where we fit in the process. But how do we know what we're supposed to be responsible for? That's where Incoterms come into play. Incoterms are a set of 11 individual rules issued by the International Chamber of Commerce, which define the responsibilities of sellers and buyers for the sale of goods in international transactions. Each Incoterm rule clarifies the tasks costs, and risks to be borne by buyers and sellers in each step of these transactions. The Incoterms 2020 rules are updated and grouped into two categories reflecting modes of transportation. When buying or selling internationally, it is exceptionally important to understand the terms surrounding that sale. Many companies utilize Incoterms as they are internationally recognized commercial terms regulated by the International Chamber of Commerce. Incoterms is a registered trademark of the International Chamber of Commerce, and this presentation and any diagrams or documents presented in this presentation are not to be used as legal advice and are for reference purposes only. Please do your due diligence and seek counsel should you have any further questions or concerns or would like a deeper, full definition to what Incoterms are and how they are applicable. In referencing the chart provided, we can see the difference in the Incoterms based upon a collect to prepaid basis from left to right. On the left-hand side, we start with the term Ex Works, which is symbolized as a 3-digit code with a name placed thereafter. EXW. As you can see in the chart, the blue dictates most, if not all, responsibilities fall on the buyer of the cargo. This means that anything from pickup at the shipper's location, including the filing for export customs clearance, the choice of the airline and freight forwarder to handle the cargo, as well as any origin, destination terminal handling, customs clearance fees, duties, taxes, storage, or unexpected instances, all fall to the receiver. This can be both good and bad because you have full visibility on the charges that you can be facing, but you are also the liable party. As we work our way to the right on the chart, we come to our next term, which is FCA with named place. FCA, also known as Free Carrier Insert Named Place of Delivery. As you can see, the seller's responsibility is slowly growing, where FCA requires the seller to file the export customs clearance and then turn over the liability to the choices of the recipient. Next term on our list is CPT, or carriage paid to, insert place of destination. As you can see, the seller's responsibilities have grown in this chart so far. When it comes to the CPT term, this is our first prepaid term that we see in the Incoterms progression. CPT, or carriage paid to, dictates that the seller is responsible for all steps of the cargo, including export customs clearance, transfer to the airline at origin or the receiving agent at origin, as well as transport to the final port of arrival or other named place within the Incoterm. As all Incoterms are negotiable between the shipper and receiver or buyer, there are some steps in the middle of the process which must be negotiated upon during the discussion of Incoterm. At this step, we can see the similarity between CPT and our next term, CIP, carriage and insurance paid to, insert named place of destination. CPT and CIP are fairly synonymous Incoterms, where we see the addition of insurance come into play on the CIP term. This means that the seller or the shipper is then responsible for insuring the goods in addition to all previous steps that applied within the CPT Incoterm to named place. This continues on the responsibility and liability falling onto the shipper should anything happen to this cargo, and leads us into our final three prepaid terms, which are all fairly similar with very slight variations. The first of which is DAP, or delivered at place, insert named place of destination. DAP refers to all charges and processes being the responsibility of the shipper. This means that the liability and transport processes and all decision-making power falls on the shipper. The only process relayed to the receiver is the standard customs clearance, as well as duties and taxes or fees associated with that standard customs clearance. With the Incoterms 2020, we saw a replacement of the previous DAT term and the introduction of the new DPU term. The term DAT previously referred to the phrase delivered at terminal, insert named place of destination, whereas the updated DPU refers to delivered at place unloaded, insert named destination. This transition requires the carrier who is facilitating the delivery to physically unload the cargo at the named place of destination. Once unloaded, the transfer of liability and responsibility is then on the receiver. The last prepaid term we will discuss in the 7 main modes or any mode of transportation Incoterms is DDP, or delivered, duty, paid, insert named destination. With the term DDP, we see that the seller bears all responsibilities of this transport, along with any liabilities that may happen through that process, up until the carrier unloading at place of destination. All other taxes, fees, storage, or other accessorials that may be incurred will be due to the account of the shipper as per DDP terms. As this is a full prepaid term, the recipient has no say in how decisions are processed or how the shipment is handled aside from unloading at their facility. Now that we've reviewed the 7 main Incoterms that apply to any mode or modes of transport, there are 4 still left for review. These 4 apply to rules for sea and inland waterway transport. They are referred to as FAS, or free alongside ship, insert named port of loading, where the shipper assumes responsibility and liability for the cargo all the way until they drop the cargo at the named port of loading or warehouse of loading. The buyer then assumes responsibility along with any freight forwarder documentation fees all the way through delivery to their door, including any unexpected instances that may occur, very similar to the Ex-Works or FCA term. As we progress to the right on the chart, the next term is FOB, or free on board named port of loading, which allows for the shipper to retain responsibility and liability all the way through the cargo being loaded on board the vessel. This then includes the origin customs clearance for the export, as well as any transport costs incurred to transport the cargo to the named port of loading, or any origin terminal handling charges. Our next term, CFR, or cost and freight, insert named port of destination, shows us our first prepaid term regarding sea or inland transport. CFR relies on the seller retaining their liability through the arrival of the cargo at the named port of destination. There are some negotiable terms within this Incoterm where some fees can be negotiated upon between the seller and the buyer, but all in all, the seller is responsible for ensuring that cargo is handled up to that named port of destination, including any and all fees incurred along the way. The buyer then obtains responsibility and liability of that cargo once it arrives and is available for pickup, and they proceed to transport that cargo through final delivery to their facility. We see a very similar instance in the CIF term, or the cost, insurance, and freight, where the only addition to this term is the seller now bears the responsibility and liability for any insurance surrounding that transport. Again, everything discussed regarding Incoterms and how they are applicable is being seen in reference and educational purpose only. Incoterms is a registered trademark of the International Chamber of Commerce, and all information regarding full definitions and applicable situations and information can be obtained directly through the International Chamber of Commerce's website at www.icc.com. The latest version of Incoterms 2020 rules is now published on the International Chamber of Commerce's website and is protected by copyright. The revised rules reflect the latest developments in commercial transactions, and as of January 1st, 2020, all sales contracts should include reference to the Incoterms 2020 rules. You may obtain your own copy by visiting the ICC website. This is also being utilized as a resource to familiarize U.S. importers and exporters with Incoterms. Page is not legal advice, and the information provided is not official, legal, or full definition of each Incoterm. When pursuing a specific export transaction, you are encouraged to conduct your own due diligence and to consult legal counsel as appropriate. Licensed freight forwarders may also be helpful too. Now that we've reviewed some Incoterms, we've learned some terminology, and we've seen a little bit more how the process works, I ask again, prepaid or collect? Is convenience really cheaper? Remember, when choosing a prepaid Incoterm, you're allowing your shipper to design your supply chain. If you have regulations or requirements surrounding your cargo, you don't want to be left helpless or holding the bill when the unexpected occurs. Do your due diligence and seek further counsel if necessary. Now that we've learned a little bit more about the process, became a little more familiar with the language, and touched a little bit on Incoterms, we should also touch on the importance of packing. One of the leading causes to damage during the transportation process is inadequate or poor packaging. Of course, budgets being real and trying to keep costs low, we understand that economical packaging still has to be a consideration. Nonetheless, be conscious of the material your cargo is packed in to avoid the headache of damages and delays from the beginning. If it's dense or fragile, that cargo definitely needs support. Although some terms of sale require insurance be in place, it's not required in all. Nonetheless, we're all people, which means the unexpected occurs. Anticipate the unexpected and insure your cargo for pennies on the dollar to secure your safety net before your cargo even leaves the dock. All right, so your cargo's on its way, and it should be arriving to the port of destination soon. So what's this thing called a customs broker we've been talking about? Licensed customs broker, also known as a licensed customs house broker, are individuals or corporations, partnerships, or associations authorized by the U.S. federal government to assist companies and individuals in meeting government requirements for importing and exporting activities. Documentation requirements. All shipments traveling into a new country must obtain customs clearance at the country of destination before pickup and delivery. To do so, your customs broker will require the following information be included in your commercial invoice to allow for swift, compliant entry filing. Seller name, buyer name, commercial value, which must be broken down per commodity if the shipment consists of multiple commodities, harmonized tariff code per commodity as well, country of origin per commodity, as well as the term of sale or Incoterm at the named place. Once your customs broker has accurately transcribed the information for your shipment from your commercial invoices into your customs entry, Customs and Border Patrol then calculates how much customs duty and taxes are applicable based on the commodity you have imported into the country. Customs duty is a tariff or tax imposed on goods when transported across international borders, and the purpose of customs duty is to protect each country's economy, residents, jobs, environment, etc., by controlling the flow of goods, especially restrictive or prohibited goods, into and out of the country. In addition to customs duty, a merchandise processing fee, which is a mandatory fee from Customs and Border Patrol for all formal entries, is applicable at a rate of 0.3464% of the commercial value of the cargo being imported. This calculation does not include duty, freight, or insurance. This fee is calculated at a minimum of $27.23 and a maximum of $528.33. In addition to the merchandise processing fee, if commercial cargo is shipped through an identified port, a harbor maintenance fee at a rate of 0.125% of the commercial value of the cargo will also be applicable in addition to the merchandise processing fee. The HMF is not collected on cargo imported or transported via air or mail. Lastly, to process your customs entry, you'll need to obtain a customs bond, which is a contract between three parties: United States Customs and Border Patrol, a principal or an importer, and a surety, to ensure that all the duties and fees associated with the rules and regulations of importing or other customs activities are paid to customs by the principal. This can be purchased on two levels, whether it's a single entry bond, which is a transactional or single use, calculated based upon the commercial value of the cargo within that transaction, or a continuous bond, which is purchased on an annual level and can be used multiple times within that annual period. It just needs to be for a minimum bond amount of $50,000, which can be calculated at a rate of approximately 10% to calculate the cost. I know we've covered a lot of information today, and I truly appreciate you hanging in here with me and going through the process. If there's anything that you still feel lost or you feel like you still need help, please don't be shy. You wouldn't go into a courtroom without a lawyer, and you shouldn't navigate the supply chain without your friendly neighborhood forwarder. We're here to answer any questions you may have and help you through the process.